Hello and welcome to the Yarra Valley Garden Party. My name is Rebecca and I'm coming to you from Kangaroo Ridge Retreat, and I am here with...
I'm Ben Hamilton from Watts River Brewing, which is a small independent brewery based in Healesville on Hunter Road. And yeah, just out today enjoying a beer in the sun.
It's a beautiful day. It was a bit windy before, the sun was out, it was amazing. And I'm sitting here on the balcony at Kangaroo Ridge Retreat, so you can see in the background some of the amazing views that we have. So welcome to the Watts River and Kangaroo Ridge Retreat, hops and spring flavours. So Ben, what are we drinking today to have a taste for your recommendations for spring?
Well, we've got a few. Well, a lot of our beers are really good to drink in the spring and summertime as they're dry, easy drinking. But today we'll stick with our pale range. So we'll start with our blonde, that's it there. So this beer is the beer we launched with about 5 years ago. It's a nice, easy drinking ale, pretty clean. Nothing too complex in there, but some good noble hop characters.
Quite malty.
Yeah, good amount of maltiness. So we get a lot of the grain for our beers off the family farm, which goes into this beer too. We use a bit of wheat in this beer, then we use a bit of New Zealand and some noble hops. But it's just designed to be a beer you can sit back, relax, drink on a nice spring day and not think too hard about. And a good introduction to craft for non-craft drinkers as well.
Perfect for spring, out on the balcony or by the creek. You're sitting by the creek at the back of your place.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm not out in a public space drinking beer. I am in my backyard. I'm lucky enough to have Grace Burn flow at the back of our yard, which runs into the Watts River. So there's a bit of connection to our brewery there, I suppose, too.
So if anybody's just jumped online now and seen the Yarra Valley Visit Yarra Valley Facebook page, where I'm here from Kangaroo Ridge Retreat, and I'm here with Watts River Brewing. We're talking about spring flavors and beers that Watts River Brewing has on tap and in their beer and in their brewery at the moment. So yes, I really love the blonde. It's my staple. Perfect for a nice sunny day. So what's the next one? What's your next beer that we can go through?
On next one, we'll probably move on to the River Session Pale Ale. Again, dry and sessionable. That one. Just crack it open.
I need to crack mine open too.
Have it in this other glass, fancy glass.
Actually, I had Watts River glasses in the cabins, and I realised that I'd taken them. We swap our glasses over now for the COVID restrictions, and I'm like, I didn't have any Watts glasses, so oh well, get plain ones.
Cheers. Yeah, so this one's a little bit more hops in this one compared to the blonde. Use some kiwi hops in this again, which drives it. Again, easy drinking. Sort of fits mid-range in a range of beers. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's very
the malt bills the malt bill is pretty pale. Nothing over the top there. A little bit of just our base malt again, and a little bit of wheat, pretty much.
What I find really interesting about Watts River Brewing is that a lot of the recipes, if you want to have the recipe, I guess, do they just come to you and ask you for a recipe so homebrewers can actually join in the fun of making beer?
Oh, we'll definitely tell them what's in it. It's up to them to work out how to use it, but we're happy to tell them best way to go about using it. when we're up at the cellar door, we get a few up and running. Obviously, we're shut down in the COVID restrictions, but we get a lot of questions from home brewers and stuff as well, and we're pretty open. Even other independent brewers, we're open with those guys as well. So there's no real secrets at Watts River. We're happy to be open and give advice where we can and take advice as well. So
it has the hops in this, the flavor of the hops in this one is not overpowering. I've had some pale ales in before where it almost almost broad reaching into an IPA, I guess. So this one's nice, balanced.
Yeah. So this one's, I suppose, our philosophy of brewing is to keep everything in balance. So we never really go over the top. Even our IPA, which we'll get to, isn't like just overwhelmed with hops. So this one, a bit of New Zealand hops in there, which sort of keeps it nice and floral, but also, just easy to drink. Again, don't have to think about it too hard. Sit outside on a day like today if you can, and just relax and have a beer.
Definitely. So this one sits at about 5% alcohol content, and I forgot to mention what the blonde did.
Yeah, it's 4.7 on the blonde,
4.7,
but
yeah.
it's a good thing to mention, just so people know where it sits, I suppose, if they have to drive or anything.
Indeed, because we're moving on to a more heavier one later on in the show. So, and that one has from our experiences has surprised a few people in the amount of alcohol that one has had.
Yeah. Yes.
Is the pale ale the most popular one in beer in Watts River?
It's pretty neck and neck with 3 of our beers actually. So the blonde, the IPA, and the River Session all sell pretty much the same. As we kept getting asked this question, which one's the most popular? Which one's the most popular? So I looked through like a year's worth of data, and there's nothing in it. So, but it's horses for courses. If you really like hops, well then you'll go for the IPA. If you like a lighter, sort of more refreshing beer, you probably go for the blonde, and pale ale sort of sits in the middle. So, yeah, whatever you feel like on the day. I don't particularly have a favourite out of them. I'd switch between them when I'm drinking them.
You don't have a go-to beer?
No, generally not. So just sort of a bit of variety is good.
Fantastic.
And also like to drink other people's beers. Like there's some other good breweries, craft breweries in Victoria, which like Hop Hen in the Yarra Valley got Hargraves, and there's the Victorian government campaign at the moment, Click for Vic, so you can get a lot of them through that webpage. So that supports
local producers,
small independent producers. So it's an easy way to do it. We're not up there just yet. We'll try to get that done in the next few days.
Because we'll be up online soon.
But you can order our stuff direct from our website, and we'll get it to your door within a week, like mostly on Thursdays, which is just go to our webpage and we'll deliver free to Greater Melbourne, Geelong, and the Yarra Valley, and occasionally we'll do a free delivery run to the Wimmera for our friends up there and family where the grain comes from. So
lovely.
Just try to get it out.
Which beer are we heading on to next? Which part of our taste flavour? Spring flavours, perfect for sunshine.
Well, we might try. We'll move on to the IPA.
So this one's a very big hop, supple malt, sits at 6.6 alcohol, and what I like about it, it's very dry.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, like we try to keep our beers in balance. So a lot of IPAs sort of have a really highly hopped. Ours obviously has lots of hops in it, but we're really careful about the selection of hops so they work together really well and keep the beer in balance. There's still a malt backbone there, and we try to get the hops to come across as sort of fresh and fruity, whereas a lot of other IPAs are a little bit more resinous, a little bit harsher on on the palate, whereas ours sort of sits pretty clean, and even on the back palate it does.
Yeah.
So
a lot of times you have that, it kind of feels sticky in your mouth, but this is very refreshing. You definitely want to drink this on a sunny day in the sun. Well, be careful when you drink it on a sunny day in the sun.
yeah, drink some water as well. It is 6.6%, so it's, we call it like dangerously sessionable because it is really easy to drink. So have a glass or two of water as you go as well in between. So yeah, so the hops in this, the main 4 hops are Cascade, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Galaxy. So mostly, yeah, sort of North American, Australian hops. That really work well together. So when we developed this beer, we tried a ton of different hops and just tried different combinations, and this one the selection just came together, so it gave it a really clean finish and fruity finish, which we kind of like. And again, it's dry, very dry for an IPA, which makes it sort of sessionable, more palatable during warm weather and stuff as well, so during spring and summer. So yeah, pretty popular.
So if you've just joined us to this live show on the Visit Yarra Valley Facebook page, my name is Rebecca. I'm from Kangaroo Ridge Retreat. We're streaming live to you. I'm sitting on one of the decks of one of our cabins, and I'm here with Ben from Watts River Brewing, and we're going through beers that are pretty good with springtime weather that can sit outside while you're picnic by the creek, as Ben's sitting and me out on the balcony in the sun. So yeah, very delicious. We just tasted the IPA. So what were we going on to next? We're rushing.
We are getting through them quite quick. We might, I don't know if maybe you've seen we're getting through them pretty quick. I've got a nipper here, so I should maybe mention that, because that's probably a good like summery spring type beer, warm weather beer as well. But that's our.
Go ahead.
This is our light beer, which we released probably 2 years ago in November. So, good little light beer at 2.9%, which is just within the light beer range. Again, we concentrate on the strengths of what you can get in a light beer. So it's really hard to get good malt profile. So we've really concentrated on getting a good clean hop flavor. So yeah, really, if you need to drive and you want to have a couple of beers, this is a good refreshing beer to drink and then have a couple still and drive home. So
how do you find light beers in the craft industry at all? Because they're not that common, if you were to say like an IPA or a pale ale is, but light beer?
No, well, they're becoming more common. But yeah, the reason why we developed this beer was we were supplying some beer to the Healesville Music Festival, which is normally here in Healesville around November, I think. When they're back up and running, everyone should go. Like, it's a really amazing music festival. Some really good local and further afield artists. And so we were supplying beer to Healesville Music Festival, and they said, can you recommend any light beers? So we just said, well, why don't we make one for you? And that was kind of the incentive. And we thought we'd keep it going, see how it went. It's been quite popular, so we'll just keep making it. And it's kind of found its little niche in the market, I suppose. But I think light beers will become lighter beers with our hot weather during summer and stuff. Like, they're quite popular. So as people want to get out in the sun and have a beer, and possibly because we're a big country, they have to drive, so kind of helps them tick all those boxes.
Excellent. It sits at, hang on, how many, the alcohol content is at 2.9%.
2.9, yeah.
Yeah.
So
just under 1 standard drink.
Yeah, 1 standard drink in a 0.8 standard drinks in a 330 ml stubby. So yeah, so good beer to have, it, particularly if you have to drive.
So, quick question about Watts River. Who is Watts River Brewing?
So Watts River Brewing is made up of, so myself and Aaron Melnberg are the brewers. We used to work at White Rabbit Brewery when it was in Healesville, then it moved to Geelong, so we kind of jumped ship. We wanted to stay in Healesville, so we set up a brewery along with our wives, some other family support, and so we just set up this little craft brewery in Healesville. Solidor came along about a year after that. It's really been strong for us, get a good local crowd. We love to support local musicians on Friday nights when we're around. We still live stream that on Facebook Live now. So yeah, and Aaron and I have very similar brewing philosophies, and all the rest of the team kind of like similar beers that are not too sweet. So we like dry beers and that are really in balance and not over the top. And our other sort of passion is, I suppose, Belgian beers or old world beers. So we'll come to those next. But when we're back up and open, like, we've got a great cellar door. So when you get to come out to the Yarra Valley, look us up. We're not far from Four Pillars Gin, which is just about a block away. So 3 or 4 minute walk.
Distance.
Yeah, walking distance. So check them out too. They're great, along with Peyton and Jones across the road there. Number 7's right there.
It's a nice little Bermuda Triangle down at the west end of Healesville.
It is now, yeah. So there wasn't anything there five years ago, really, and now it's become a really good, crafty end of town. So some great products.
So your salad door is really set up for quite open. It has a big roller door, so you can open up and let the fresh air in, but you've also got an outdoor sitting area. Is that going to change, or is what are the plans that you hope to have for when we are actually able to welcome guests to the brilliant, beautiful Yarra Valley?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's well, we're all looking forward to opening when it's safe, obviously, because we don't want to rush open if we have to close down again. But we've got, traditionally we've just opened up the sort of warehouse space to fit the number of patrons who are allowed in. But if we follow what Country Vic's going through at the moment, where they can have 10 in the space inside and 50 outside, well, we should be able to open up our car park. So for people that have been to our birthday bashes, we open up the car park then to patrons. So we'll kind of open up that area and hopefully be able to sit the full quantity safely and be able to serve in the outdoor environment. So yeah, it should work quite well, I think.
Oh, great. The sun's just come out from behind the clouds. So really, the view, everything. Have a look. I will just move out of the way for a little while. You can see.
It's a great view up there. Yeah, it's awesome. One of the best in the valley, I reckon.
So if I can point the right way, over that way here, where you can see actually I might twist it a bit more. So I'm twisting so you can see through here. You've got a couple of vineyards that have actually started with their own cellar doors soon, that we're opening up hopefully very soon, especially with the restrictions. You can see this vineyards from Long Gully Estate and also Stefania Estate. So they sit side by side, their neighbours, and we're very excited to hear that they're starting a cellar door as well, where we can walk, where you can eat, and also I think Stefania Estate has pizza as well. So, very excited.
So, what's the best place for people to look you up, Becky, when people can finally travel and stay in accommodation?
Well, the best way is similar to a lot of accommodations here, is to actually look directly on their websites and book directly, because a lot. Yeah, sorry. So our website.
It's important. If you go through booking site, they take a really big chunk, which does hurt the independent.
Yeah, so a lot
producers. The way we do it is we look on those sites, see what's available, and then we'll go direct to the people to book. So
I think a lot of people found it challenging. Like once they have, when you book directly with the accommodation provider, we can actually, for ourselves, we were able to offer our guests who had a lot more flexibility and also a lot more personal service. You didn't have to go through a third party. And I think, and I really thank a lot of our guests that had their stays disrupted by this particular reason why we're sitting at home. Because everybody, ourselves, our own plans were disrupted, their plans were disrupted, but we're still here. And we've been, like when we do Wednesday winos every second Wednesday with Hoppit, we've been collaborating, and you can see a lot of these collaborations with local businesses who are promoting each other. And you should be able to find their websites, because everyone's been working very hard to get lovely websites up and running again. So Book Direct is one of the biggest things that you'll see coming out from the accommodation sector here as well. So
yeah, it definitely helps particularly the small independents, helps them out a lot to book direct. So, and you generally get to talk to the owners a lot of the time, or someone really closely connected. So it's more personal touch.
Also visit Yarra Valley. They're one of the their directories also show a lot of the local accommodations as well. We're listed on Visit Yarra Valley, and you get a link directly to our website from that website as well. So it's always it's always great. Hello, Abby. I can see you in the background there.
He's off now.
So yeah, you were talking about, back onto What's River. You were talking about earlier about you've got more of a experimental, but also like the passion for Belgian, the old world style.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next beer, I suppose, which is Grazette, which was sort of Belgian style, light in. It's only 4.2%, I think, from memory. I actually don't have one here. I forgot to grab one. But it's a total different direction of beer, because all the other beers we've tasted so far use our house yeast, which is one off the shelf. Super San Diego is what it's called, but it's a really workhorse yeast. It produces nice, clean flavors which don't interrupt the other flavors. Whereas this beer is all about the yeast, really. Bit of hops in there too. So 4.2%, again, great for nice spring day. But the Belgian yeast characters really come through. So you might get those spicy phenolics, fruity esters coming through that you don't get in our other beers, because they use our house strain. I think I might have lost Becky there. I wonder if she'll come back. Maybe I need to refresh. Sorry, looks like we're having a few technical issues. I might drop out for a minute. I'll be right back. Well, looks like Becky's dropped out, so I suppose we can push on. So we have one last beer to try today, and that was our Bret Pale Ale, which is a total different direction again, inspired by some Belgian Bret Pale Ales as well. But the Bret comes from the yeast which we use secondary ferment it with, which is Brettanomyces. Throws out sort of funky farmhouse dirty type. You there?
We're back.
Have I been on or off this time?
Yeah, both of us have been going in and out. So continue.
Yeah. Did you say we moved on to the Bret, or were you?
No, I didn't know we had to. But that's great. I've got one here. Very excited about this one.
I'm not sure if people heard what I said about the Grazette, but you can look it up on our webpage. So the Bret, as I was explaining, is named after Brettanomyces, which is more of a wild yeast, I suppose. In a lot of beers, you just don't want it in there because it takes over. Whereas we really like using it in certain beers, barrel aged beers. Sometimes we use Bret, and it throws out funky farmhouse, sherbety type flavors. A little bit of horse blanket. There's some pretty atrocious words that you can use to describe, but it's really clean and a little bit floral in there as well. But Bret has the ability of chewing through carbohydrates that other yeasts simply can't get through. So it'll just move on to the next, just move through the carbohydrates. And because it's a really stressful environment, it throws out these flavors. If you give it a nice, easy drinking, easy, clean sugar environment, it doesn't throw out the complex flavors that we're after. So yeah, we use a different primary. In this one, we use the Belgian strain of the yeast as in the primary ferment. So along the lines of in the Grazette, and that throws out some other compounds that the Bret can work on as well. So yeah.
If you haven't had this beer before, I guess it's quite a contrast to the beer estate flavors that you would expect to come from, I guess, Australian beers that you would be more familiar with. It's not as bitter, I guess, would be one way to describe it.
It's pretty much. It's not far off actually, but it's a little bit less. The first batch we did, we actually used the same malts as in the blonde, so then we could put them and yeast. So it's basically a blonde secondary fermented, which allowed us to sort of show what Bret does to beer. So you could taste the blonde and then taste Bret, and they're totally different beers. And it's not far off the blonde base recipe these days even. So then we can give them a blonde, and then they go, yep, that's what's Bret. That's what Bret is doing to this beer, and what Bret can do to a beer.
Are you doing it in the barrels? Are they barrel aged, or is it in
we release some barrel aged Bret beers, but our Bret Pale Ale is actually secondary fermented in stainless, and because it's so hard for even the Bret to chew through those more complex carbohydrates, we leave it in there until it's tasting the way we want it, and that's generally around 6 months. So it holds up a tank for 6 months, which is quite a long time when other beers take like 3 weeks or so. Just been hassled by my dog here. He wants me to throw a ball.
I definitely, the Bret beer is one of my. It's very pretty label. It's a very lovely label with the purple, yes. And yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. I actually think I've got one of the first generation ones. This one was bottled on the 1st of November in 2017. So I didn't leave the house today, and I just got what we had on hand.
Yeah, so they can age, which is something I haven't mentioned. Is they can age. So you can sit them down for like 2-3 years. If you're buying some, even buy like 3 or 4 of them, then taste them every few months or 6 months or so, and you'll notice that they really do develop stronger Bret characters and different flavour profiles as you sell them. So yeah.
It's gotten a bit windy all of a sudden here up on the ridge as well, so I had to swap over to earphones and a mic. So yeah, so out of all the Yarra Valley products that we've been talking about, a lot you can actually find on the Yarra Valley Pantry, which you can find on the Yarra Valley and Dandenong Ranges webpage. And also Click for Vic. There's a lot of local products as well. But also what else you can do if you're interested in any of these products or anything is check out their websites. I guess that's similar for accommodation, is to go to their website. So I hope everybody here who's been watching has enjoyed some of the day out here in springtime in the Yarra Valley in the homes. We're working really hard to try and share it with you, to share the natural green spaces. And yeah, so how's your rest of the day looking, Ben?
I'm down here by the creek. It'll probably cool off a little bit later, so I might light the fire and just have a few beers with the family down by the creek.
And enjoy the spring. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so to lead us out onto to finish off this session and the spring flavors, Kangaroo Ridge Retreat releases a mixtape similar to one that was released by Yarra Ranges Tourism, but also we every season, winter, autumn, spring. So right now we've got our Spring Awakening mix. So what I'll do is I will show the view for the next 5 minutes and play a little bit of the tunes on our Spring Awakening playlist to enjoy. So thank you, Ben. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking us through our spring flavors from Watts River Brewing. And yeah, till next time, see us on Wednesday Winos.
Yep. Everyone, enjoy.
Have a lovely day.
Someone took you out of my arms. Still, I feel the thrill of your charms. Lips that once were mine. Tender eyes that shine. They will